I want to demystify the property industry. It's an industry I love, but it's also an industry that can be sometimes have a lot of white noise, and it can also be a little bit sharky in the sense that there's a lot of people wanting to take your money off you or provide you really poor service or poor investment opportunities. So hopefully at the end of this, you're going to understand the property industry, which will allow you to stay safe and allow you to have a bit more of a clearer head when you're considering investing. All right, where does information come from? Social, probably one of the worst spots you can get information from. Short, opinionated, sound bites. There's no core education and there's no structure to a strategy of investing on social media. Newspapers, potentially equally as poor as social. I don't know a journalist currently in the market, the one that was not too bad, retired long ago, but I don't know a journalist who understands investing to the degree that they can write competently on it. Newspapers have one goal, and that is to sell lots of newspapers or sell subscriptions to their online news stories. So a news article is not going to be balanced, when it comes to finance. It's got to have extremes, it's got to have extreme headlines. So in the property industry, it's boom or bust. Property prices are so high, some people lining up for auctions, first home buyers can't get into the market, that sells stories. Or there's a huge bubble coming along that's going to burst, which has been coming along for the last 50, 60 years in Australia and hasn't occurred. It's really boring to say, look, the property market has a good balance of supply and demand. The population growth in certain corridors is causing an increase and an ongoing increase in property prices. Boring, but that's the reality of the property market majority of the time over the long term. So understand the information you're taking in. Magazines, probably a little bit better. Articles in there, somewhat tainted towards whoever's written them, but the data in the back's really good. Developers and old school investors are really good source of information. Like I said earlier, I was lucky to have a mentor early days who was a friend's dad who was a really grey hair old investor. I could trust him. He never asked me for a cent. He just provided me really good advice, and I still use him to bounce ideas off. He's an old school investor and a developer. So developers have a really good understanding of supply and demand in certain corridors, as well as town planners actually, if you go out to different councils and talk to them. So grey hair is obviously always a good one. So someone who has proven themselves and has been in the industry for a long period of time. The seminar circuit is a really good one. Property seminars, I went to every property seminar I could think of when I was back in the 90s trying to absorb information. When I do this talk with year 12 kids, I'll usually split the room into two, get them standing up, I'll wave some cash around and I'll ask people, has anyone been to a property seminar? No one's ever said in a year 12 environment that they've been to a property seminar. And what I'll ask them to do is to, the left half of the room, I'll say, your apples, the right half is oranges, and I'll say to them, whoever can scream apples or oranges loudest will get the $10 or $20. And out of that crowd, I'm going to pick the loudest person out of that side of the room, who I think is the loudest, and they're going to get the money. And for 30 seconds, I'll get each side of the room to scream apples or oranges as a competition. Then I'll ask them to all sit down. And I'll say to them, now you've all been to a property seminar. You were shown some money, asked to do something ridiculous, to lift your emotions up and get you all excited. And now what's coming is, I'm going to sell you an overpriced education course, lock the doors, act now, half-time price reduction tactics, or I'm going to sell you a poorly chosen property which I get huge kickbacks on. So once again, if we think about it, property and investing is, the smart decisions are not made on emotion. So understand that seminar circuit, you can go along to these, you can get information, and I went along to heaps of them. And I'd take that information, I'd go back and talk to Steve, who was my investment mentor, and I'd talk him through and say, this is what I got out of it, and I'd take about 5% of it and I'd add it to my own educational investment arsenal and slowly build up my own understanding of the investment world over time. So I'm not saying don't go to them, I'm saying understand the world you're putting yourself in and what you're expected, what people are trying to get out of you. So let's have a quick talk about industry sharks. My team in here put this eye of the tiger into this bit of the presentation because they're having a piss take at my romantic abilities. So my wife Felicity, who we got together when she was 19, I was a couple of years older, and I was nearly put in the friend zone for about 18 months. I was in the friend zone, which is everyone hates the friend zone. So I'd asked her out a heap of times, still in the friend zone, we're going out as friends, but finally she said, yeah, all right, I'll go on a date with you. Being the romantic guy I am, I took her to a property seminar on our first date. And the presenter came out and started kicking and punching like he was Bruce Lee on stage. I still don't know why, but Eye of the Tiger was being played at ear blistering volume lengths, and straight away I knew, right, this is a hype up. So every time I do one of these presentations to one of the sporting clubs or the year 12 groups, my wife Felicity takes the piss out of me and says, oh, you're going to do a bit of Eye of the Tiger. So hence the reference. But signs you're being pumped up for lunch is sized up for lunch. Pumped up music. High fives. I've seen one presentation where the presenter came running along the front row and goes, hands up everyone, here comes the high five train, toot toot, and high fived everyone. Absolutely ridiculous. Smart investment decisions are not made on emotion. The presenter positions themselves as a saint. They tell you about the orphanage that they support, or that they milk cats in Nepal, or whatever ridiculous thing they come up with. I'm not saying they're not good for doing what they do, but if someone's out there promoting all the good they do, they're about to take more than they give, yeah? They're trying to build themselves a character. So watch out for these signs. Images of money or luxury items. I explained to you before, when I held up 10, 20 bucks for the year 12 kids, I can get them to scream apples and oranges. These are all designed to spark emotion and get you to make irrational decisions. Act now, price reduction tactics. Half price, sign up to my $40,000 course and get it for $4,995 for the next 10 minutes. If it's a good deal, it should be a good deal tomorrow. And if it's not a good deal tomorrow, forget about it. Things like, are you ready to take action? Are you ready to make the sacrifice? Yes or yes? These sort of American-style, cheesy chants, brainwashing chants. If you hear these sort of things, you're about to be the sacrifice. And no discussions of risk. The number one thing you should be considering when investing is the risk associated. Not to the point where you get fearful enough that you don't invest, because the reality is you should be more scared of not investing than investing. Because if you don't invest, you're going to end up poor. But you should be discussing risk and understanding what steps in this investment process you're taking to reduce the risk. And promises of getting rich quick. If you hear get rich quick, that equates to lose money fast. Smart investors get rich slow, over 10, 15 year period.